Hi, everybody. Welcome to CPP CommunityCast. I'm your host, Miguel Urrutia. I am a multimedia analyst for EODA HR Operations. And now I'm going to let the gang introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Andrea Andy Handy, and I am a learning and development consultant.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jesus Avalos, and I too am a learning and development consultant.
And my name is Brian Taylor, and I'm a talent advisor in talent acquisition and diversity outreach.
That is a mouthful.
Yeah. I feel, has anybody ever seen the Brady Bunch? I feel like the Brady Bunch when I see our four screens here. And anybody who's listening or watching, if you're not familiar with the Brady Bunch, it's worth a Google and you'll see what I mean.
Oh, we should do that next time where we're all looking at each other. I'm looking down, like I'm looking at you.
Oh, too cool. Sorry, Miguel, we hijacked the session.
Oh, no, it's all good. I know, Jesus, you have a question of the day today, so you could take it away.
Yes, absolutely. So this is my question of the day for the three of you, but also for those of you that are listening or watching, and that is this. What is the best piece of advice that you have ever gotten or given? So I'll put it either way. And I know that's a head scratcher. So what's the best piece of advice that you have ever either gotten or given? So who wants to go first?
You know what? I guess I'll go first then. All right. So I think the best piece of advice I've ever gotten, I was really young when my dad told me this. I was bothering him and badgering him. I wanted him to take me somewhere and buy me something. And pretty much he said, if you stay that persistent about everything you want in your life, you'll be successful. And so I'm trying to be as persistent in all the other parts of my life as I was about going to the store and buying some candy. But I think that was the best piece of advice I've ever gotten. And honestly, it's something that I've never forgotten.
That is next level. And your dad's like a Jedi master, because not only did he give you a piece of life lesson that you still carry to this day, but he was also able to tie it into candy, which I think is just genius.
Yeah. So, you got to know your audience.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Brian, for getting us started. So Miguel, Andy, who wants to go next?
I feel like Miguel wants to go next.
I feel so. Yeah, I think so too.
Well, this is like pertains like before I graduated. So a piece of advice I had from a friend, I guess I was struggling a bit in school, but his advice was that just keep at it. And even if you don't like, once you choose one, stay on it, stay persistent. And eventually you can always change careers in the down the future if it doesn't work out. But it's important to finish your degree because it will open up more opportunities in the future.
Great. Thanks, Miguel. It's almost like it ties into, Brian, your dad's piece of advice, that idea of persistence, putting one foot in front of the other, and knowing that there are very few things that can't be modified. You can't sometime down the road take a different path. So very good, Miguel. Thank you. Andy, what do you got?
This was a tough one, Jesus. I'm glad you gave this one in advance because it was really tough. And so I'll give the short version first, is control the controllables. And it took me a long time to understand what that meant as it pertains to people and just the human element. And when you look at how people might speak or feel or respond to you, you can't control that. You can't control the other person or perhaps change the way that they might think or feel about you. But what you can respond or control is your own reaction or the way that you respond to things. And so I found when I was younger, I did a lot of reacting really quick, right? Really quick, not necessarily thinking about how I want to be looked at or if I'm responding with some sort of emotion. If you take the time to really think about how you want to respond to someone, then you could do it in a way that you might be proud of. So I know that's the long-winded version, but essentially learning how to respond instead of react.
Yeah. And I'm still learning that one, Andy. So if you figure out, so yeah, if you get that sorted, Andy, can you please conduct a training and help me with that one?
Sure. I'll write a book and I'll put all of my challenges in there and it'll be really fun to read.
Yeah, but after you've written the book, you won't take my calls. So And you notice that she didn't deny it.
She's like, well,
and said, oh,
Well, for
wow.
me, I was just thinking, well, I wonder what my speaking feed will be. Like that's
Yeah.
because we were just talking about it earlier. So I'm like, I wonder what it'll be.
Yeah, it'll be high. It'll be high. All right, great. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. I really appreciate it. So actually, I'll share mine very briefly. So one of my best piece of advice, because it changes from day to day, but this one I actually got from Abraham Lincoln, and it might be apocryphal, but I think it's accurate. He said, whatever you are, be a good one. And I love that because it speaks to the fact that each of us has a different path. And each of us is unique. Each of us is walking our own journey, and each of us has our own truth, our own reality. But whatever path you choose to walk, do it right and be the best that you can in whatever it is that you're doing. And I've been making a conscious effort to be more mindful. I've been meditating. That was my New Year's resolution, the first one that I've actually kept, and grateful that I have, which is all about being mindful and being present. And I find that I'm showing up a little bit better, which has been very beneficial to me. So thank you, everybody, for sharing. And now I am going to transition into a new section or new segment of our podcast. And that is the Did You Know section. So this is where we're going to start sharing some interesting facts or pieces of trivia or just really cool tidbits that are Cal Poly Pomona related. So question for the three of you, and actually for the audience as well. So did you all know that we could have very easily been Cal Poly Santa Barbara? Did you all know that?
No,
I did not.
I'm not even sure what
Okay,
that
well,
means.
here you go. So here is the story, and we believe that it's a true one. So as we all know, we were founded really by W.K. Kellogg's donation of his horse ranch to the state of California. That's how Cal Poly Pomona got its start. But the story goes that in May of 1925, after looking at locations from Ventura, actually a little north of Ventura, to Pomona, Mr. Kellogg purchased 377 acres of land in Pomona. And he bought it for about $250,000, which was a ton back then. And he bought that land in Pomona as the site of his Arabian horse ranch, which eventually became Cal Poly Pomona. But what a lot of people don't know is that the legend has it that the choice of the site for his ranch was decided on the flip of a coin. So apparently, Mr. Kellogg stopped his car and he flipped a penny up in the air and he said, heads, it's Pomona. Tails, it's Santa Barbara. And as legend has it, the penny came up heads and the ranch eventually became the site in Pomona, and that's how we got Cal Poly Pomona. So 50% chance it could have been Cal Poly Santa Barbara. So that is our Did You Know for the day.
Wow, that's amazing. I bet you we were heads Pomona.
Yes, it was heads Pomona. That's what the story goes. Heads Pomona, tails Santa Barbara. So we were this close to being Cal Poly Santa Barbara.
Wow.
All right. So Miguel, I'm going to hand it back over to you so we can continue on with our scheduled order of events.
Thank you, Jesus. And yeah, I'm surprised that actually happened. And so, so now we're going to go into our next segment, which is our interview, where Andy Handy will be interviewing the Veterans Resource Center.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Miguel. And for our viewers and listeners, we are joined here by members of the Veterans Resource Center. We're very excited to have you. Thanks so much for coming today. I do want to do some introductions. So we have Elke Azpeitia, and she is the Veteran Services Coordinator. And we have Sam Kim, who is the VA certifying official, and Kim Katayama, who is the assistant coordinator. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Doing well. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, I'm super excited to learn more about the Veterans Resource Center, but also to share all that you do with our listeners. And so I wanted to start off with Elke. So I'm sure that there are some folks who are very familiar with the Veterans Resource Center, but if we have some that aren't, can you just share with us what is the Veterans Resource Center, or the VRC as people call it?
The Veterans Resource Center was established in 2012. We're turning 10 years old next October, and we're a one-stop shop for all military affiliated students on campus. And what that means is that we're here to support students from the admissions process all the way up to graduation and continue to connect with them as alumni so they can come back and support our students here at Cal Poly Pomona. We do more than just academics. We also support well-being, and we also support, we advocate for our students on and off campus with our legislators, third-party agencies like the VA or the state of California.
Oh, that's perfect. Thanks so much, Elke. And I'm gonna direct my next question to you as well before we move on, Elke. So if you can just tell us a little bit about how you got started working in the Veterans Resource Center. I know you have kind of an interesting story.
So when I came to Cal Poly Pomona, I graduated twice from Cal Poly, first with my undergrad degree in philosophy, and then I graduated again with my master's degree in public administration. It was during the time that I was doing my master's thesis in an independent study course where I was working on a class where we're doing research on Vietnam veterans. And so in my independent study course, I recognized that veterans were in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Times reported that veterans were 1 in 4. 1 in 4 veterans were considered homeless. And so that really hit home because my father and my uncle served during the Vietnam War. They were very lucky to not be in that type of circumstance. But we wanted to see what we were doing as a campus to support the veterans that were enrolled here. And so I asked the question, so, what can I do within my sphere of influence? And so we decided to assess Cal Poly Pomona's support services for veterans. And based on that assessment, I was able to identify that the campus needed a Veterans Resource Center. And so the campus ran with it.
That's so cool, Elke. I mean, you have to know what an amazing story that is based on the work that you and other people had done in the research, and now that it exists and came to fruition. And I'm sure just hearing that you had said was it your father and your brother were in the military?
My father and my uncle.
And your uncle. Well, I can see why it's so close to your heart. And I already am familiar a little bit about why each of you are very passionate about supporting veterans and active military members. And I would love for other people to hear it as well. And so, Kim, can you just share a little bit about your relationship with military?
Of course. So my husband is a 14-year Army veteran. We also have 2 daughters who are veterans. Our oldest actually just got out of the Army last week. She served 8 years. Our other daughter she served 3 years. And then we also have a middle daughter who's married to a soldier. And so we are a huge Army family. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law were Army. My grandfather was Army. So Army is in our blood. And so, so I was married to a soldier, mom of soldiers. And so the joke is, now that I'm working here, I'm around veterans 24 hours a day, and wouldn't change it for anything. So.
Wow, that's awesome, Kim. Thanks so much for sharing. I do appreciate it. And I am familiar with Kim from a previous university where we both work, and Kim had the opportunity to support veterans there as well. So very much familiar with your amazing service. So thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
And Sam, I'm going to kind of shake things up with you a little bit because I would love people to hear, I know, right? Your question is going to be a little bit different. So Sam, I know that you were in the service. You were a United States Army veteran, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you so much for your service.
Okay.
And were you always wanting to be in the military? Is that something that you desired from a young age? And if you can share with us your story.
Yeah, so I graduated high school in 2000. And no, I never thought I would be in the Army. Never, ever, ever. I went to school, I was 18. I went to, right after high school, I went to Cal State Fullerton. And, just was doing, what, 18-year-olds do, hanging out with, older people. And, I didn't really focus on academics, which led me to not doing so well at Cal State Fullerton. and I made some wrong life decisions. And, I had an acquaintance that joined the Army. And he was, he asked me, hey, what are you doing with your life? I said, pretty much nothing. What do you think about this? And then he spoke to a recruiter, talked about some options. And then long story short, I joined. Was probably the best decision of my life, because if not for the Army and what the Army gave me and what I experienced and what I've become, it would have just been a bad situation for me. So yeah, that's my story.
Well, I'm glad that you had a friend that was there to support you during that time. And I'm going to bring it back to a moment where you told me you were watching a commercial and you were saying, man, I'm never going to do that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I think I was sick that day, but yeah, it was definitely after 9/11, and I think the news was covering a bunch of paratroopers jumping out. I think they were going to Afghanistan. And the news was covering it. I saw it. I'm like, these guys are crazy. What are they doing? And then, after basic training, after graduation at basic training, I met a colonel, and he said, if you want to do well in the Army, you got to become a paratrooper. You got to go get your wings. And I was talking to my mom, and she was like, go get him. And then I said, okay, I'm gonna go get my wings, and I'm gonna go do my thing, and I'm gonna go get, go serve 20 years. Great, boom. So obviously I didn't serve 20 years, but I did get my wings, and I did become a crazy paratrooper jumping out of airplanes.
Well, thank you, Sam. Thank you for sharing that story. I just thought how funny, and you could recall watching a paratrooper or that commercial and thinking, oh my, our commercial or news. I couldn't remember. I apologize.
Yeah.
And then that's in fact what you came to do, which is so cool. Thanks for sharing. And of course, Brian, Miguel, and Jesus, if you have any additional questions that you want to bring in, please do. I'm going to take it over to Kim. And I'd love to know a little bit more about how you support students in the VRC and what type of services you offer.
Yeah, of course. So when you come to the VRC, I'm usually the first person that you're going to see. I'm directly in the front along with our student staff. And so usually the students will come in, either they already know what they want or they have no idea what they need. And so it's kind of my job to figure it out along with our student staff. What is it that they're looking to achieve by coming in? Or what is it that they didn't know that they, what kind of benefit or what kind of services are offered. And so really, my role is to, make sure that when they're coming in, they know that they're being recognized. They know that they have, somebody here that's ready and willing to assist, but also knowledgeable in terms of figuring out, if they're coming in and saying, I have my school paid for, but I don't know how. It's kind of my job to decipher what it is that they need. And so on top of that, providing resources, we are definitely a one-stop shop. So whether they have questions about financial aid or advising or some type of, I'm having an issue with whatever department, we can usually guide them into where they need to be or what it is that they need to do. Oftentimes I'll pick up the phone and make a phone call and say, hey, I'm going to send this student over. I have this student that has this issue. And so that way we can get it resolved right there. But some of the other services, that we do on top of, whatever is serviced here in the VRC, whether it's computers or food or a place to study, we'll let them know, hey, make sure, that you're reaching out to this department, or you have, we notice that you have this hold and you need to get these things taken care of. So, or, hey, you came to me and told me you're having this problem. Let's get you connected with the VA to make sure, that these issues are being resolved. And so a lot of times students, they don't realize the reach that the Veterans Resource Center has, and they may not realize that, it's not just CPP related. We have access outside, and off-campus resources and contacts. And so it's very easy for us to make a phone call and say, hey, I'm going to guide this student, to whatever outside department is needed. And so really it's all individual based, figuring out, everybody has individual needs. We're all one community in terms of, being military affiliated, but everybody has something different. Everybody has a different need. And so it's not easy to just, cookie cutter the answer. It definitely involves having that interpersonal, relationship with these students, because they need to, one, feel comfortable enough to tell me what they have going on. And two, allowing me to help and trusting me that I know how to help them. And so it's building that relationship, but then also, kind of, you got to pull things out of a hat sometimes and go, I remember where I can get this information from, figure out how to navigate through that. So, it's really all about just making those connections with the students and getting on that level of figuring out what it is that they need, because sometimes they don't know.
I find just remembering back when I went to college, which was not that long ago, but I didn't know what I needed either. I had no clue. And now knowing all of the things that our veterans, when they come in, or their dependents, the different items that they need to submit, and also if they have been, or they are an veteran and served, the other challenges they might be facing, it's so great to have a support system. And clearly the three of you have built relationships and trust, so that hopefully people will be open and vulnerable with each of you, like you said, so you can create that plan and customized support that they might need from you.
Yeah, and it really is, you're looking at individuals who for many, many years had everything structured for them. Whether they did one enlistment or, a whole career, there was a big chunk of their life where they were told where to go, what to do once they get there, when, everything mapped out for them. And so when they come to school, regardless of whether they're transferring here or not, it's still something new.
Right.
And that's, that structure is ingrained. And so when they get here and they're looking, you're standing in front of this big, huge campus, you're not looking at how beautiful this campus is. You're looking at how big and how scary this is going to be, because I have no idea what I'm doing. And that the worry about it, am I going to be late? Am I going to the right place? So there's so many other things that factor into what they're worried about, that we really want to take that worry away and let them focus on school, let us focus on everything else. And so,
that's fantastic.
Making sure that they know this should be your first point that you come to, and then we can figure it out from there. That right there just helps tremendously, because now they know they have guidance, they have that structure back.
Alleviate some potential stress and challenge. So that's great. Thanks, Kim. I appreciate that. And Jesus, I know you had a question earlier. I just wanted to see if you wanted to hop in.
No, I was just thinking when Sam was talking about watching that commercial, I just remember my brother was in the Army for 25 years, I believe. And I remember he said something like, these crazy people jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. I just stuck with it. And it stuck with my brain. So when you said that, Sam, that totally resonated with me. So yeah, I love that story. I just needed to say that. So I'll hand it back over to you.
Thanks, Jesus. Your kindred spirits right there. And Elke, I was actually just researching and reading a lot about what you do for our veterans and in the research center. And I came across something called the Cal Poly's Pomona's The American War Experience Through California Voices. And I saw your fabulous picture on the website. And I'm just wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about that.
Sure. So the American War Experience Through California Voices is actually a project that was funded by the National Endowment for Humanities. It was a project that both the Veterans Resource Center and the California Center for Ethics and Policy that's also a campus resource, we collaborated on. And we were able to go to DC for about a couple of days for training and get to see the other grantees that were awarded. So we were the only ones from the state of California, and I believe in 2019, 2020 that were awarded that grant, which was pretty cool. And we were very excited to be able to showcase what our students do. We were able to actually hire 10 discussion leaders that were student veterans and military dependents to lead conversations and facilitate conversations on war. We focus on 5 themes of war, which is World War I, World War II, Cold War, the Iraq-Afghanistan conflicts, and then also the future of war. Our discussion leaders actually got to present on how what was California's role in this, and also to talk about the impact of war, not only overseas, but at home. We typically don't have that conversation about how war impacts home here in the state of California. And so to be able to have that conversation and explore that, I think it was a great experience. We had the opportunity to even showcase the Cal Poly Pomona military affiliated community by actually working with the theater department to create a play on Cal Poly Pomona's a military affiliated community. It's called Here and There. We showcased that last year, and we actually worked with the theater department to create a more robust version in the spring of 2021, right, Kim? And that was like, you had backgrounds and so forth. We did it all virtually. We even at home, we even had like our backlights and all that fun stuff. So it was a real production of, of this play that was setting on the Veterans Resource Center. So if you take a look at that play, you're able to get a sense of what a typical day in the Veterans Resource Center looks like. And it was a great project for our students to have. We actually created a strong relationship with the Richard Nixon Library. They hosted 2 of our events before COVID hit.
Wow.
So it was fantastic to be able to have that experience. Our students got to, not only share their experience, but help teach the community the value of having these types of conversations, because they don't think about the impacts of war, not only economically, but culturally and socially within our communities.
Wow, that sounds, well, first off, congratulations. The fact that the only one in California to receive a grant, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that year.
Yeah, that year. And as far as the play, I'm wondering if there might be a link that we could share for our viewers that we can put maybe in the comment section.
Sure, it's actually in the on the page itself. If you click on if you go to the Cal Poly Pomona Veterans Resource Center and click on the NEH project, you will select performance reading. The play with the revised version, the one we did with the theater class, and we had the the more elaborate backgrounds, that was done in the spring, and we actually have that YouTube link that we can share with you.
That would be lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, Kim and I, we are not.
Yeah, we're just gonna put a disclaimer right now. There's a reason why we're in this profession and why we're not in Hollywood. So
right.
Well, now I'm even more excited to see it.
Yeah. We've got a Halloween video that we just produced, and we're sharing that same disclaimer. we're not actors either, so we feel you.
We tried.
I do want to pass it back over to Sam. I know, Sam, in your role, it is a little bit different because you work and support the kind of the admissions process, correct?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the GI Bill is a very complicated monster. It comes with a few chapters. So a few different types of benefits within, the GI Bill umbrella. My job is to research and find out, what we need from them, what they need to do. So I'm the middleman between the students and the VA. I make sure that these students, get the benefits that they're entitled to, that they work so hard for. And the process itself, certifying them and whatnot, that's not the complicated part. It's navigating the VA system is the complicated issue. And, and we're here for the students.
During the admissions process. So we actually follow the student from the time that they apply up until after they graduate. And so from the time that they apply and they're given an offer, Elke, myself, and Sam, we will work with the student to make sure that they have an orientation, a veterans orientation, or a military affiliated student, I should say, orientation prior to their regular orientation time. And that's where Sam comes in with the admission process to make sure that their benefits are in order prior to accepting their offers. So we are in contact with them before the minute that they, we find out that they've been extended an offer to come to Cal Poly Pomona, we're contacting them, because if they're going to be using benefits, we can potentially get some of those fees waived, like the enrollment confirmation deposit and then orientation fees waived. And so that's where, we try to make the contact with them, and that's where Sam comes in terms of the admission process to make sure that we're getting those documents collected. Sorry, Freddie Krueger just walked in. Today is our trick or treat day in the VRC, and Freddie Krueger.
Well, so by the time people see this, so just know at
Just
the end
know
of
that
October,
there were people on campus today that did not come get all this candy that we have.
Who knew Freddie
But
Krueger was a veteran?
Freddie Krueger just walked in the side of my eye. So we capture them from the very, very beginning. I mean, even to whereas when they're filling out the application, if they indicated they're military and they did not send in the documents, I will call them and say, hey, we're missing the documents because you might be missing out on opportunities for us to contact you.
Oh, okay.
And so that's kind of where we come in terms of the admission process. We don't make the decisions, in terms of them getting accepted, but we do try to make it easier for them to make sure that we have all the documentation ready to go to give to the VA. So that way they're not having to come out of pocket for certain things.
Perfect. Thanks, Kim. And thanks, Sam. I'm sure you make the process a lot easier for them, because from what I understand, getting contact with the VA is not always an easy process. So I'm sure your work and effort is very much appreciated. I do want to thank you all so much for answering the questions. I know that does require some additional vulnerability on our parts and being open and sharing, but I do think it's really important that everyone knows that first, there is a Veterans Resource Center on campus, and that you not only support veterans, but if someone who comes in who needs support, that you will help them as well, right? I remember having that conversation with you. So I do appreciate it. And I am going to pass it back over to Miguel for our next section.
So again, thank you so much for all the resources you bring to campus. And with that, we're going to jump into our next section, which is going to be our tip, trick, or hack. I know Brian will be leading this. So go ahead, Brian, take it away.
All right, well, thank you, Miguel. All right, so tip, trick, or hack. I know Kim and Sam, you're going to be doing the tip, trick, or hack. So I'm going to start with you, Kim. Is there any tip, tricks, or hacks related to life, related to school, related to veterans that you would like to share?
So I actually learned this so my mom came to visit this weekend, right? And so when your mom comes to visit, you clean your house like your mom's coming to visit, right? So so I learned that if you take a sock, put a sock on your hand, do the sock puppet dance for a minute, but you spray a little bit of vinegar and water on it, and you can clean your mini blinds with the sock. So I'm only 20 years old. So for the past, 40 years, I've been trying to clean with a duster like this, and it was doing nothing but bending my mini blinds, right? But if you take a sock and you wet it a little bit with some vinegar and you go like this, wow, it gets clean and it doesn't break your blinds. So mom came, my house was ready. It was mom approved, white glove, white sock, whatever you want to call it. We were good to go. So that is my tip.
Yeah, I love that. And I know what I'm going to be doing when I get home today. So thank you.
Right. It is so satisfying. You're like, wow. But then you think wow, why didn't I do this before? Because these blinds are.
Yeah, I might have to toss out the sock when I'm done. So
yeah, put it under the sink and use it for next time.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you, Kim. I appreciate it. So Sam, is there a different tip, trick, or hack, or it even could be related to Kim's that you want to share with us?
So this is what I thought about. Well, now everyone that drives have a rear view camera. But before rear view cameras, you would have to, look back, right? And sometimes, there's those little yellow metal poles that just pop out of nowhere and you hit them, right? So you just kind of, bump your, get a little pop on your bumper. So how to get rid of them? You pour boiling hot water, and you reach around your bumper and you can pop it out.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
A fun fact that actually works regardless of whether you have a backup camera or not. You just don't want to tell anybody that you had a backup camera and you did it anyway. So it'll work either way.
I'm going to back into a poll just so I can try it.
I thought he was going to tell us how to avoid the poles, but no, that's a good one, Sam.
Maybe like a turning technique or something. But
They just pop out of nowhere, Sometimes they just go.
Some things are obvious, but
All right, thank you, Sam. I like that. So okay, we have two great tips on how to clean your blinds and how to avoid poles. But if you can't avoid it, then how to fix that bumper. So, all right. So we're gonna transition into the next part, which is gonna be our lightning round. And so, Elke, we're gonna have 10 questions for you. So the rules for this game here, pretty much we want you to answer within 3 seconds. I'll say a question or a phrase, and within 3 seconds, just say whatever first pops in your mind. So there's only 10 today. There's only 10. Like Andy said, they're going to be extremely challenging. No, I'm just kidding. They're related to you.
I'm going to ask for help for sure.
Are we allowed to help her?
Yeah, definitely.
Like signs or
You're on
something?
standby, Kim.
Oh, we can't do signs because we have a background. You're not going to be able to see me.
Oh, but I can ask for help.
Oh, wink.
This
Okay,
is
go.
easy, Elke, as long as you remember trigonometry.
Oh, I don't remember nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'll be
sine.
absolutely fine.
We need sine, cosine, tangent. As long as you know those.
That
we're
went out
good.
the window years ago.
Okay, really, the questions are just related to you. They're just to get to know a little bit more about you. So, all right, we're going to get started. So the first one is one book that you've read that you'll never forget.
Pride and Prejudice.
All right, and most thrilling experience.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
She's not a thrill seeker, guys.
Thrilling experience.
Okay, most calm experience.
Meditating.
Okay. I like it. Okay. Do you spend or do you save?
I save.
Okay. And what did you dress up for Halloween as last year?
Myself.
Okay. I can see you're yourself for this year too.
Coincidentally, I dressed up as Elke too.
Yeah,
So
well, I am a twin, so I'm in character every day. So
What? Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I didn't know that. See, we learned something new about you. All right, and if you could choose one person, dead or alive, to have lunch with, who would it be?
Oh, I would definitely like to meet George Washington.
Oh, okay. And then when you think of classic movie, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Ben-Hur.
Okay, and favorite band or artist?
Oh, my favorite artist is Lucy McGinn.
Okay, I'm gonna need to look them up. Is this a
You
band
don't
or
know?
no?
oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
Elke. It's not a them, it's a him.
Oh,
Okay, I'll move to the next question.
thank
What
you,
is-
and Andy. You know.
Yeah, Jesus and Andy help educate us a lot. All right, what is the last show that you binge watched?
Schitt's Creek.
Yes. Okay, good one. For the audience, if you haven't seen it, I recommend it.
It's great.
Last question here. If you could travel through time, what time period would you visit first?
I'm gonna give that one to Kim because I know that's her favorite.
Ooh,
Go ahead,
okay.
Kim.
I have to say 1940s, 1950s.
Okay, why? I need to know why.
Why? Oh my gosh. Nobody wore pajamas. Everybody got dressed.
Okay.
You go to the store and everybody was dressed. Nobody was in fuzzy pants and fuzzy slippers. It was the music was better. It was just, I should have been born in that.
But we're all wearing our pajamas right now. So I do apologize.
Okay, well, I mean, for the last year and a half, I wore pajamas. But I got dressed going to Walmart. I'm always overdressed.
Now you know why I gave her the question.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, the music, just
Very passionate about this topic.
so much better.
Yeah.
So much
I can
Yeah.
tell that you've thought this one out prior to my question, obviously. All right, well,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
Sort of depressing that we're in this era and not.
I gotta think about a thrilling thing now, because that stumped me.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to you on that one next
Okay.
episode.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you guys for joining us today. That was the last question I had for you, Elke. I think we learned a lot from our tips, tricks, and hacks. So I'll pass it back to you, Miguel. So we
You gotta
can,
educate Brian for sure, Jesus and Andy.
yes, please do.
Yeah,
Please
I'm
do.
shaking my head and said, "Oh, Brian."
That hurt me too. It hurt.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, we'll definitely play that for him. So again, thank you guys for just being part of our podcast episode. Like Brian said, it was really great to know all of you and all the things you do for our campus. And we'll definitely link a link for the veterans, especially our viewers who know any veterans are coming to Cal Poly Pomona. Definitely take advantage of this resources that we have at campus. So again, thank you all for being here for today. And remember, keep learning and keep growing. Until next time, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye,
Having
everybody.
us.
Thanks again.